Hello guys. There's something I wanted to talk about. It's kind of been bugging me a little bit about Guild Wars 2 and their microtransactions um, deal. I do agree with Guild Wars 2 and being a buy-to-play game. I don't believe that subscriptions are necessary or needed anymore. But there's a benefit to them if you just hear me out. First of all, if you have a subscription to a game, the player never feels cheated. They never feel like they're missing out on something, or they don't feel like other people can spend more money to pretty much gain an advantage. Now, I know that's not the way that it is in Guild Wars 2. I realize that they're only going to be like cosmetic type transactions, but something I came across the other day really hints on Guild Wars 2 having such things as buying additional character slots, buying additional bank space and things like that. Now this isn't a huge concern of mine, although it kind of teeters on the edge of, am I actually paying for a game that I can get everything out of without having to dive into the realm of microtransactions. Now, suppose I have 5 characters and I want that 6th character to be played. I'm not saying that's as many slots as you get. This is all hypothetical. I don't want to have to pay to create a new character. And the reason for that is I may delete that character, I may delete another one, but at this current moment I don't want to delete any of the characters that I have. So it's like pretty much, well, you decide which one you want to delete now, or you pay to create one that you might not even keep. It might not even be a good alt. Now the problem with that is that other people will be able to experiment by using those microtransactions, and I feel like that's really unnecessary. I feel like that's part of the game, that if you buy it, and it's this whole concept of buy to play, then you shouldn't have to buy an additional character slot. You should be able to create as many characters as the next person. And not that's a game changer, but it is something, that I've been thinking about. The bank slots is also another thing. I mean, how many times in a game have you gotten to the point where you have no more bank space? In World of Warcraft, you used in-game currency. It wasn't bad. You got some bags, bought some slots with in-game gold, and you increase the size of your bank. Now that's not a bad idea because it's in-game currency. It's a lot different than real money. My problem is if I want to expand my bank, because I tend to hold on to things and see where, like, if there's an auction house, which I'm sure there will be. I like to hold on to items to see the prices fluctuate, or I like to buy them really low and then sell them really high, but that means I have to put them in a bank to hang on to them. Now, the problem with bank slots being available in a microtransaction is that I'm having to pay for things in the game. I'm pretty much having to pay for intangible items, which honestly, I don't know, let's say 7 years down the road, I'm just going to throw away. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a big idea with these two things, the bank slots and the character creation slots, but it really, like I said, it's really on the edge of, you know, not that the microtransactions are going to make a player more powerful, but they're going to affect my gameplay. Um, and I see this happening a lot. Like, I just don't want the microtransactions to get to the point where it might not affect gameplay, but it doesn't give me the full feel of the game. Like, there's these things where you have your personal story town or whatever in a city, if you've seen them, and pretty much what these do is, as you make decisions in the game, then when you enter your own kind of private instanced neighborhood, if you will, it kind of shows things there. Now, this microtransaction could go as far to say, you know, oh, you can play the game, you can make the decisions that you want to, but now we're not going to throw in the into your private instance neighborhood or whatever. We're not going to allow you to have as many of those in there. Again, this is not something that really affects the game. It doesn't make a player more powerful. It doesn't make like take away from anything you can do in the game, except that's something I feel like you paid for. And again, I'm not saying that they've done that so far. The only things I've kind of heard rumored are character slots and bank slots. I just don't want to see the gameplay not messed with, but kind of some of the conveniences of actually having paid for a game be taken away. Um, I think they've been hinting at also cosmetic issues, and I'm not really concerned about um, the cosmetic issues so much because I'm planning on playing a Norn warrior, and I think that their armor looks really nice. Like in an MMORPG, I really like the way that characters look most of the time. I mean, there's a certain point where they get a little outrageous, but Guild Wars, I really like the way they do their armor and everything. So the best look for me isn't even a cosmetic whatever they're going to sell. It would actually be the armor, and you can dye it for free and everything like that. That's fine too, except I don't want to get to the point where, if you think of the culture of the game, people are like, oh well, you're high level, you got great gear, but you don't have any kind of cash shop items. And that's where I'm kind of coming in here, is that I don't want to buy a game, play it, and then it get to a point where it's like, oh, you have to buy this game, not because it affects your gameplay, not because it makes anybody stronger or weak or anything, but because you kind of have to. It kind of looks bad if you don't, or you've got to figure out which items to sell to a vendor and which ones you can keep in a bank, or you've got to stick with the characters you've created because uh, you have no more slots, and if you don't get rid of any characters, and now you're like, oh well, I have to buy it. And I guess that's what it boils down to. I don't mind paying for games. I've had ones before. You have no problem chipping in if it's something I feel like it's worth it. But for a game that is kind of innovative like this, and it's a buy to play game, I don't want to feel forced to buy anything to get the full experience. Now things like I think a realm transfer, they actually said, is free. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with character customization, changing what your character looks like for a price. I also think it's a fair thing to say if you want to change the name of your character. And the reason I say that I feel that these things are okay is because changing how your character looks, like the facial features, the height, the girth, whatever, is perfectly fine because that's kind of your own gameplay. That doesn't affect how you look to other people. It doesn't affect how many random items you can stow away in your bank or anything. So I don't mind those very much. I hope Guild Wars 2 wouldn't go the route of mounts and pets and things like that. Well, I mean, I guess the pets are kind of vanity items anyway, so you could say, like, that's fine, like, have a pet or whatever, it just runs around with you and follows you. That's okay too, in a sense, I guess, but the mount thing, it's like, sometimes like, oh, well, you haven't paid a dime for this game. You paid for the game, but you don't use a cash shop, so therefore you don't have like a nice mount. And it's like one thing you gotta get better, because in MMORPGs people want the best stuff and they want to be at kind of the top of the game sometimes. I'm not saying everybody. There are many times where I just like enjoying the game, which is really what drew me to this game. First and foremost, is because it seems like a game that's actually concerned about your personal story, but at the same time I just don't want to get to the point where you kind of have to buy items to keep up with the Joneses, or and like I said, that's not, the cosmetic issue I'm kind of okay with. I'm kind of not. It has its advantages and disadvantages, but the biggest thing would be like the bank slots and the character creation slots. I feel like that would kind of branch over to, and I really hope they wouldn't, inventory slots. I don't want to spend real money to carry how much, to increase how much stuff I can carry. So that's just kind of why I want to make this video. I just wanted to discuss that for some people who were maybe confused about the microtransactions and stuff, and there's so little out on this already that it's hard to say with any certainty what's going to be offered. But for anybody looking up some information, or maybe you want to message me and discuss it or anything, that's perfectly fine. And who knows, maybe somebody will catch on to this, like, hey, why don't we watch the microtransactions, And ArenaNet really seems like a company that puts innovation and kind of like I don't know, their customers, if you will, before their profits. But at the same time, they are a corporation. They have to make money, so therefore, you can never be too sure. So that's about it. Might be making a few more videos. This is my first one on Guild Wars 2. But I hope to see you all in game.